The Judicial Services Commission will today begin interviewing candidates nominated for positions at superior courts. The vacant positions include 2 posts on the Constitutional Court bench. The 5 candidates vying for the positions are Advocate Alan Dodson, Judge Fayeeza Kathree-Setiloane, Judge Mahube Molemela, Judge Owen and Judge David Unterhalter. Advocate Dodson is the first on the list. He was unsuccessful in his bid to secure a green robe last year. Let's now take you live to the interviews right now, and we're joined by our reporter Hasina Gori. A very good morning to you, Hasina. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us at this point? What can you expect from today's interview process?
Good morning. Yes, as you mentioned, today is the morning where we're going to be seeing 5 of those candidates, some of the top lawyers and jurists in the country really vying for that position of a Constitutional Court bench. And to give you some context, the Constitutional Court is the apex court of the country, the highest court of the land. It is a bench that has not seen a full permanent bench in quite a long time. We've had an acting Chief Justice for at least most of last year. We've now seen that position being held by Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. This is his first act as the Chief Justice. He will be chairing the session. He did chair the October session. And I want to bring you into last year. Last year we saw these interview process taking part in April, and we saw some of these candidates. 4 of the 5 that are being interviewed today have been interviewed before. They were unsuccessful before. Some of them, this is their 3rd or their 4th time. That process that took place in April last year was brought to the courts and litigated because of the manner in which these nominations and interviews took place. So we saw that whole process being redone in October once again, and that's when we saw acting Chief Justice at that time, Raymond Zondo, sharing the processes. We know that the commissioners really have come under attack, and the JSC as well has seen criticism around the manner in which they've been handling their nominations. We've heard from Judges Matters as well as other legal groups really saying that there's no clear criteria guidelines, there's no guidelines in the questioning rounds, there's also no guidelines when it comes to how commissioners should act, and that has been posing a problem. We saw some nominees really going through lengthy processes, and others being just asked 1 or 2 questions. So there have been calls, really been calls, and a growing calls from many saying that there needs to be guidelines. And yesterday there was a special session to ensure that these guidelines are put into place. We saw last night a statement from the JSC, and we're hoping to speak to them later in the day to get some clarity on what exactly the criteria are now. We know that they're moving to the 2010 processes. The legal analyst saying that while this is a good short-term processes, that more needs to be done to ensure that there is a clear understanding of what questions need to be asked, what criteria are they looking for. Advocate Dodson, who's going to be the first to take the seat, this is his 2nd time that he will be interviewed. He was unsuccessful both in April as well as in October last year. He's the only of the 5 candidates who is not a serving judge at the moment. He has acted in the positions on various different courts. However, he has not had experience of being a permanent judge at any of the country's benches. So that could be something that he would be asked on and could be a sell point for him. But what you need to understand is that from the 5 nominations that are going through, there are 2 positions that need to be filled, and the JSC through its mandate has to nominate or give at least 5 names. So that means that all 5 of these candidates, their names will be shortlisted and put forward to the president, and he then has the prerogative under the constitution and under the legislature to then nominate who he seems fit by the 2. So all 5 of them have a chance to see themselves in those green robes. The process is expected to begin sometime now. We were told 9 o'clock, so it could be in a little while, and we expected all 5 to be interviewed today. There is some new commissioners that are also added to the panel this time around. We know Advocate Madonsela as well as Advocate Alan Dodson have been removed this time around. We know there was those concerns that were called on during the last process, during the Chief Justice process, saying that there needs to be reform within the JSC when it comes to the commissioners as well. So we're seeing those changes, and it's going to be interesting now going forward today to see how that plays out and how these interviews are conducted. So quite a long day ahead, and as always, you'd be able to follow it on both our radio, television, as well as online platforms where streaming will be done, and I'm sure that the TV shows will also be dipping in throughout the day. But for now, back to you in studio.
All right, Hasina, thank you so much for joining us. Hasina Gori there is outside the venue where the interviews will be conducted in Sandton, Johannesburg. Well, as I've mentioned, the JSE is now beginning the interviewing candidates for the Constitutional Court bench, and we're going to take you there right now.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for being able to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you. Unless there is somebody who wishes to raise anything before we call the first candidate, I think from my side I'm ready that we may call the first candidate. I don't think anybody has anything that they wish to raise before. So I think, Secretariat, you can bring in the first candidate.